Today, I'm going to show you guys how to create a professional typography slide animation in After Effects without using any third-party plugins. Now, there is a lot of things to cover in this tutorial, so stay with me. I am Nikhil from Dope Motions, and without any further ado, let's get started. Alright, so here we are in After Effects. Let's start by creating a new composition, which is going to be 1920 into 1080, 30 FPS, 10 seconds should be good. And let's rename this to main. Hit OK. And right off the bat, I'm going to start creating the shape layers. So let's select the rectangular tool. I can create a rectangle just by dragging it. And let's go into rectangle path 1 and change the size. So unlink this. I'm going to set this to maybe 1200 by 600. Let's also align this into the center. Now, if you don't see this align tab, you can go into Windows and there you will find it. And for aligning the anchor point, I'm using the move anchor point script. But if you don't have the script, you can select the pan behind tool and you can just turn on the snapping as well. And you can move the anchor point accordingly, just like so. Also, before I begin with the animation, for the animation, I will be using a free script called the Keyframe Wingman. And I have also mentioned how to use the script in my top 5 After Effects script video. I'll mention that video in the I button above and also in the description, so you can go and check it out. It comes along with the Animation Composer extension. So make sure to download it and there you'll find it. It's free. And what this is going to do is, let me just show you pretty quick. I'm going to go at very beginning, that is 0, and let's hit S to bring down the scale property, create a keyframe and drag that keyframe to around 2 seconds. Let's bring the scale property down to 0. So now we have a pretty simple and lame animation. Now I can select the keyframes and drag these handles. And what this allows us to do is to edit the graph editor without even switching into the graph editor. So if I select the keyframes, and I can just tweak my graph editor just like that. But not only this, it also allows me to copy the same animation on other layers as well. So it's going to save you a hell lot of time. So now you can see we have a bit interesting animation, and that is what I'm going for. So pretty simple. Let's go to 2 seconds and 15 frames and create a keyframe on the scale property again. Go to 4 seconds. And I'm going to bring this down to around 80%. I think 80 is a bit too much. Let's go with 90. Yep, that looks good. So now we have something like that. Now, as you can see, the animation is not the way I wanted it to be. As you can see right over here, I can select this keyframes and let's click on this icon. So it's going to add the same animation to this keyframes as well. So I hope you get the idea of what I'm trying to explain. Alright, so far so good. Let's actually begin creating the background shape first. So let's select the ellipse tool. Alright, and I can just double click to create an ellipse just like so. We don't need any fill, so I'm going to set this to none. We just need the stroke. So let's increase this really high. And yeah, that looks good. Let's go into the ellipse path. Hold Alt and click on this link. So it's going to make this a perfect circle. Then you can bring this down just like so. All right, so I'm going to place this somewhere around there. Then I'm going to set the size to around 1500. Okay, that is a bit too much, but then I can also first of all turn off the snapping and animate the scale of this circle. So at the very beginning, I'm going to set the scale property to 0. So hit S and set this to 0, create a keyframe. Go to 2 seconds and bring this up to 50%. So we have something like that. Now it's not animating the way I want because the anchor point is not into the center. So I can just align this and place it right over here and also below the square that we have. Also change the color of the rectangle so we can, identify which layer is what. You can also rename that. So we have something like that. Now I can animate the width as well of the stroke. So hit U 2 times to reveal all the properties. Let's set the stroke width to 1500. create a keyframe, go to 2 seconds, hold shift while dragging it so it snaps into the keyframes, and let's bring this down to 200. All right, so we should have something like this. Let's select the keyframes and then click on this icon, so it's going to apply the same animation. As you can see, very nice. Let's go to 2 second and 15 frames. So let's create a keyframe on the size, go to 4 second, and I'm going to bring the size down to 1000. Select the keyframes and apply the same animation. So now we have something like this. I like it. Let's duplicate this, so hit Control D to duplicate it, bring this below, and I'm going to move this somewhere around there. Then I can hit U and get rid of all the keyframes. Let's go at the very start. Then let's hit S to bring down the scale properties and set this up to 100. Also for the size, so I'm going to hit U 2 times and bring the size down to 400. So we have something like that, and maybe I'll bring down the stroke to 0 because we will be animating it. Let's create a keyframe on the stroke width and the scale. Go to 2 seconds again and bring down the scale to around 70% and the stroke to 120. Also, let's pretty quickly adjust the position. I'm going to put this somewhere around there. So we have a pretty simple animation. Let's select the keyframes, click on this icon. So we have something like this, pretty cool. Now they are animating at the same time, but once the animation is completed, then I can just randomize them just to make it look a bit more cool and complex. Now let's go to 2 second and 15 frames. Select the layer, hit P to bring down the position properties. Create a keyframe, go to 4 seconds. And I'm going to move it a bit to the right, just like so. So we have something like this. You see, very nice and subtle movement, and looks pretty cool. Now let's duplicate this. So hit Control D, bring this below, hit U and get rid of all the keyframes. Then I can just select this here, hit U 2 times to reveal all the properties. Now let's increase the size of this to around maybe 900. Make this really nice and big. Place this somewhere around here. Something like so. For the stroke width, I'm going to set this to 0. And for the scale, let's bring this maybe up to 100. Alright, so let's create a keyframe on the scale and the stroke width. Go to 2 seconds again. And for the stroke width, I can increase this. I can increase this to 120. And for the scale, I'm going to bring this down to 70. Select the keyframes and just apply the same animation. So you can see we have something like that, but it's getting merged with the other shape and I don't want that. So I can just move this somewhere around there. Let's see. Yep, that is looking much better. Let's go to 2 second and 15 frames. Create a keyframe on the size. Go to 4 seconds. And let's bring the size down to, let's go with 750 or something like that. Yep, select it, apply the same animation. Let's see what we have. Yep, pretty nice. That is looking very nice and snappy. Okay. I think I'm going to place this position a bit like so. Let's add one more circle. So hit Control D. Actually, let's make sure the anchor point is in the center. Okay, let's hit Control D, bring this below, hit U, get rid of all the keyframes. And what I can do is place this somewhere around there. Now I'm going to bring down the size to around 120 pixels. And for the stroke width, all right, the stroke width looks good. The scale needs to be 0. Let's create a keyframe on the scale. Go to 2 seconds again. And I'm going to increase this to 50. Or maybe let's make it a bit bigger. 55 looks good. Maybe I'll just position it a bit right over here. Select it, apply the same animation. Let's see. Okay, then go to 2 second and 15 frames again. Let's actually play around a bit with the stroke. So I'm going to create a keyframe on the stroke and the size. Go to 4 second, bring down the stroke and increase the size a bit, so just a touch. So we have something like that. Let's select it, apply the same animation, and let's actually see our animation, how it looks. Make some room right here. Okay, so it's looking pretty good, but at the moment you can see the animation is happening at the same time, like all the shapes are animating at the one particular time. So I need to displace this a bit, which I'm going to do later on. First, let's complete the designing process. All right, so I'm going to select this shape, hit Control deduplicate it, put this below, and I'm going to make this a red color so we know it's a different shape. Also, I can actually pretty quickly change the color of the circle really quick and make this a really nice pink color. Hit OK. Hit U 2 times to reveal all the properties, get rid of all the keyframe, go at the very beginning and set the size to around 300. The stroke width, I'll keep it at around maybe 500. And for the scale, I'm gonna set this to 0. Create a keyframe on the scale property and the stroke width. And let's go to around 2 seconds. For the stroke width, I'll pull this down to 150. And for the scale, I'm going to keep this at around maybe 40-45%. Let's see. Yeah, 40% looks good. Let's select it, apply the same animation. Let's see what we have. Yeah, pretty good. 2 second and 15 frames. And let's create a keyframe on the size. Go to 4 second and let's pull this down to around, maybe let's go with 200. So very simple animation as you can see, but looks pretty interesting. Let's again duplicate this. So hit Control D, put this below. I'm going to make this yellow. Also give it a really nice yellow color. Just like that. Maybe I'll place it somewhere around there. Hit U 2 times again to reveal all the properties. Basically it's, repeating the same process but in a different way. So unlink this. You can go totally random with this effect, doesn't really matter, because it's a very unique style, I think, and you can add your own shapes and your own, design flavor to this. So let's set the stroke width to 0. And for the scale, I'm going to go with 60% this time. And for the size, let's increase this to around 850 or something like that. All right. Let's create a keyframe on the stroke width and the scale. Go to 2 seconds again. For the stroke width, let's increase this. Maybe I'll go with 150. Okay, that looks good. And for the scaling, I'm going to go with 50%. Okay, I think I'm going to change the position and place it somewhere around there. Select it and apply the animation. Let's see. Yeah, pretty nice. Let's go to 2 second, 15 frames. Let's create a keyframe on the size. Go to 4 second and bring this up to 1000. So let's see what we have so far. Okay, this is looking very nice. Now let's create a rectangle pretty quick. And I don't want the fill right now. I don't want the stroke right now. I just need the fill. Go with a nice greenish color and create a rectangle just like that. Make sure the anchor point is into the center of that. Put this below the box. All right. And then let's go to 2 second. Hit S to bring down the scale properties, create a keyframe, go back in time. Let's set this to 0. So we have a pretty simple animation. Go to 2 second and 15 frames. Hit V to bring down the position property, create a keyframe, go to 4 second and just put this a bit low, like so. Hit U so we can see all the keyframes. and then apply the same animation. So we have something like that. Pretty cool. Okay, one more square I'm gonna add. Actually, a square. First I added a rectangle. This time I'm gonna go with a square. Make this a nice purple color. Align the anchor point. Go into rectangle 1, rectangle path 1. Let's pull down the size to around 80. Looks good. And I'm gonna also rotate this. So let's actually rotate this by 45 degrees, just like so. I'll place this somewhere around there and go to 2 second. Okay, let's hit R on the keyboard to create a keyframe. On the rotation, hit S on the keyboard to create a keyframe. To bring down the scale properties and create a keyframe by clicking on the stopwatch of the scale property. Let's hit U so we can see all the keyframes. Go back in time. Let's bring down the scale to 0 and the rotation to around, I'm gonna go with -45. Probably. Let's see. Yeah, that is what I'm going for. Go to 2 second 15 frames again. Create a keyframe on the rotation property. Go to 4 seconds and let's rotate this. Something like that. I guess around 90 degrees looks good. I think I need to create a keyframe on the position as well. So select it, hit P, create a keyframe on the position, hit U to reveal all the keyframes. And let's actually drag it just like so. All right, select all the keyframes and apply the same animation. Now you can see the script is really useful. So as you can see, it's looking very nice. All right, so far so good. Let's hit A, hit U so we can just, close them all and just see the animation. Now the animation, it looks pretty perfect, so I need to randomize this a bit, I think. So what I can do is let's select all, hit U so we can see all the keyframes that we created and then tweak it or make them look a bit more random. So let's actually select this circle first and bring the keyframe a bit closer. Select this one, bring this keyframe a bit closer like so. Select this one, make this closer a bit, something like that. This one, I'm gonna select this and maybe tweak this as well. Lastly, for this, let's tweak it. So now we have a bit more randomness into the animation. Let's see. You can see looking very nice. It's very subtle but looks very nice to me. I don't know why. Okay, so far so good. Let's actually go ahead and add some text because this is a typography slide, not just a bunch of shapes animating. So let's select the text tool and you can of course type in anything that you want. I'm just going to type in pretty simple, something like design, and I'm using the Gotham Ultra font, one of my favorite font. Looks good with almost everything. Anyways, so here we have our text. Let's go into the text property and add a position to this position range selector. And then what I can do is let's actually solo this up. Let's go to, okay, so let's go at the very beginning and create a keyframe on the start property. Go to 1 second, bring this up to 100. Now you see nothing is happening because we need to tweak some setting into the position. So for the position, I'm gonna set this to 200. So we have something like that, but it is still not the way I want it. So I also need to add some tracking to this. And for the tracking amount, I'm going to go with minus 150. Oh, I added the tracking amount in the animator too, so I need to be careful about that. So I need to select the animator 1 and go right here, property, and add a tracking. Let's set this to minus 150. So we have something like that, and that is what I want to go with. So let's select this and apply the same animation. So we have a very interesting text animation, as you can see. Maybe it's a bit too slow, so I'll go to 1 second 15 frame, drag the keyframe a bit. So we have this really nice animation looking pretty good, but I don't want the text to appear right here. So what I can do is I can pretty quickly create a track matte for this. So select the rectangle tool and I'm going to select a black fill maybe, and then unsolo this up so we can see everything. And then I can just create a shape like so and call this M for matte. Hit F4 so we can see the track matte option and change the track matte to alpha inverted, I believe. And yeah, there we have a nice text animation. Now I need the text to appear a bit later, so we'll just drag this to 1 second, I believe. Yep. Also, we need to drag the text actually a bit, maybe. Let's see. Yes, I want this to start from maybe 20 frames or maybe 15 frames. Let's drag this. Yeah, I think it's looking pretty cool. Yes, very nice. Let's add a second text. So select the text tool and type in trending design. The first text, I'm going to type in typography. Let's see how it looks actually. Also for this one, let's hide this for the moment. I'm just going to try to experiment a bit. Yep. That is actually looking pretty good. Yep, typography is looking much better than design. So I can go with trending design. Align this, make this really small. Also, I'm going to go with the Gotham book. Make this very nice and small. Just like so. Place it somewhere on there. Okay, this is looking much better. Maybe I'll go with 28. And for the color, I can just go with a much gray shade. Like that, looks good. Okay. Now to animate this text, what I can do is select it and then solo this up actually. Add a position animator, and then into that I'm going to add a opacity as well. Let's go into the range selector somewhere around there. Create a keyframe on the start property. Go to 2 seconds. Set this to 100. So basically we have something like that, which doesn't looks like anything because we need to change the position as well. So I'm going to put this on the top to around maybe minus 50, I guess. And we have something like that. Also the opacity is not working the way I wanted it to, so I'm going to make this 0. So we have something like that. Now I can keep it or leave it like that, but I want a bit different animation. As you can see, both the animation are almost similar, so I want it to be a bit different. So what I can do is go into the advanced property and change the based on character to based on words. So now it should work like so. As you can see, it looks much better. All right, so this is looking very nice. Let's go ahead and add the same text at the bottom as well, just to make it look a bit more nicer. Maybe I'll just bring this down to 50 and also make this maybe a medium. And let's type in something like creative designs. You can of course type in anything you want. Make this very small, like 22 or something. So we have something like this, as you can see, and I'm gonna hit Control D to duplicate this again. This time I'm gonna put this right over here, and I'm gonna just put a number, so hashtag 01. Make this maybe a bold, also increase the size to around 32. This has some small elements, but this detail is very important to make your work look more professional. Yep, there we go, there we have it. But still we are not done. I need to add some glow to this colorful circle, so hit Ctrl Y to create a new solid, call this BG for background. Make this a pitch black color, hit OK. Let's put this below, and then I can select the shapes, and instead of adding a glow, I can add a drop shadow to this. So let's add a drop shadow and make it the same color as they have. Increase the opacity and then increase the softness. So there we have a nice glow. Now you can adjust the opacity depending on how much glow you want. You can also play around with the distance and stuff like that, but I can play around with softness actually. You can see, looking very nice. Yeah, that is looking much better. Maybe I'll set this to 50. Then I can just select this, Control C to copy it and paste it on other layers as well. Make sure to select the same color as the shapes. Now right here you can see we have a little bit of color bending going on, so you can also switch to 16 bits per channel, and also I will need to add a bit of noise to this to get rid of the color bendings, maybe 2%, and bring down the softness to around maybe 300. Okay, that is looking much better. I think the noise is still there. I'm going to set it to 2% maybe, and let's make this a bit lighter actually, just so that we don't get any noise. Yeah, that is looking better. Let's select this shape as well, Control V, and add the same color, and there we go, looking very nice. So there we have a nice typography slide animation, which looks very, very interesting and is very useful as well. Also, we need to do the last thing, is that animate the text as well. So let's go to 2 seconds and 15 frames, select all the text that we have, hit S to bring down the scale properties, create a keyframe, go to at 4 seconds maybe, and set this to 1110. Select the keyframes and apply the same animation. There we go, looks pretty good, pretty simple, and very, very helpful. You can also add an image or a video in the background of the text to make it look more interesting. So that is a wrap for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and you know the drill. Make sure to subscribe, comment, and like, and I will see you guys in the next video. Till then, take care. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to stay raw, stay creative.